All I can say about Marjorie Taylor Greene is bless her effing heart. So that's where we are. That is the state of the GOP tonight. Let's discuss. Dean Obeisallah is here. He's an opinion contributor at CNN, at CNN.com. Liam Donovan is a Republican strategist. Good to see both of you. This is nuts, but I want to hear how you feel. Liam, you have Representative Greene calling fellow Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace trash, as Representative Bobert's bigotry on display. GOP leadership is essentially missing in action, with McCarthy really refusing to say anything publicly. What's happening with your party?
Look, I think the details of this spat are going to be forgotten by the time we're pouring eggnog, but it's indicative of the underlying tension we've seen come to a head throughout the year. And in some ways, it's been true for the past decade within the Republican Party. The difference is leadership's no longer the last word. There's an 800-pound gorilla who resides in South Florida who's watching all this play out on cable TV. So a little bit different, a little bit new. I think that informs what leadership's posture here is, which is trying to keep the peace behind the scenes and really just saying, guys, get out of the way. We're so close to a majority. We can taste it after Virginia, New Jersey. The goal here is just to not screw it up. And so, not going so hot right now, but I think that informs the posture of leadership.
Okay, listen, Greene says that she talked with you. You mentioned, I think you said 800-pound gorilla, right? Your words. So she said that she talked with the former president today and that they would support primarying Mace. This is what Mace said on that tonight. Watch.
It's like going and running and tattletelling to the principal because you have no ideas of your own, and you can't stand on your own 2 feet. She has no ideas or any type of policy or legislation that'll ever move forward because she can't do it. She's got to run to somebody else who's bigger than her and better than her for backup. And I refuse to operate that way. And if she's going to, that's on her. It's not on me. And it shows weakness. Racism is weakness. Bigotry is weakness. Religious bigotry, as she's shown over the last 11 months, that's a weakness.
All right. She said racism, bigotry, weakness. So, listen, I heard what you said about the strategy is like you have people in leadership saying get out of the way, but they're really not saying anything. Why aren't we hearing more of that? Is every Republican who stands up to bigotry or stands up to Trump going to get pushed out?
I think this is indicative of politics as a team sport. And I think, the idea that you speak out against your side, that's being weaponized by Greene in this case. And to Mace's point, sort of appealing to Donald Trump to adjudicate this. And right now, his word.
Don't you think that's indicative of the Republican Party right now? It's not, look, Democrats could barely come together to put an infrastructure package together because there are so many people who disagree with each other. So that's not sticking with a strategy. Don't you think that's indicative of your party right now? This isn't really indicative of Democrats. You don't have Democrats calling each other effers and, trash and that kind of thing.
I think calling somebody a rhino is the oldest trick in the book. It's something that Republicans have gotten mileage out of, all along. And so the intra-party feuding is very familiar in terms of making an example out of someone who clearly crosses lines. That's a little bit different. I think the recent example of Steve King was somebody that the leadership had to deal with over a number of years. I think the difference was somebody like King wore out his welcome with his constituency. You don't fix these problems by top-down, leadership-driven sort of punishment. I think in many ways it needs to be dealt with by the voters. And unfortunately, with Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think the thing she is serving up actually does fairly well with her intended audience. And so the trick is here for Mace to try to figure out whether there's some real estate in between the sort of, the crazies out there saying these uncouth things and the more bombastic sort of anti-Trump voices like Adam Kinzinger. I think that's what we're going to find out here is, does that earn you a primary just by taking a principled stand on things like, let's say, not calling people the Jihad Squad?
Dean, I want to bring you in here because I don't know what's happening with the Republicans. I understand what he says about strategy, but this seems that something that is really just sort of right now just endemic to Republicans. This is madness. Their leadership won't stand up. What do you make of what's going on?
Don, over the years, how many times did we talk about anti-Muslim bigotry from Republicans? This began in 2012 with Newt Gingrich and Herman Cain saying Muslims want to impose Sharia law. So to say that Donald Trump is somehow an aberration is ridiculous. He's a manifestation of what this GOP is about, is a party that has demonized Muslims. It is very real. Today, Congresswoman Omar played at her press conference a death threat she got. She got death threats earlier this year when Congresswoman Bobart was saying she's a terrorist sympathizer. She got death threats 2 years ago when Trump and his supporters were chanting, "Send her back." We saw a spike in hate crimes against Muslims in 2016 during that campaign because of Trump saying things like Islam hates us and I want to deport all, I want to ban Muslims from coming to this country. And 2/3 of the Republican base supported a total ban on Muslims. We saw a huge spike in hate crimes. So please don't tell me this is because of Donald Trump. This is because the GOP is an anti-Muslim bigoted organization. It's a white nationalist movement. Marjorie Taylor Greene represents this party far more than Kevin McCarthy. I hope the Democrats make this an issue in 2022, make it a referendum on, do you want a white nationalist organization? It's not a political party. It's a fascist movement that's a white nationalist at its base running the House of Representatives, or don't you? And I really hope Democrats make that the 2022 referendum.
Okay, listen, I'm going to ask Liam, I mean, if he thinks that the Republican Party is a white nationalist organization. I want to take a break. I'm going to hold you guys over, and I'll get your response on the other side. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back now with Liam Donovan and Dean Obeisallah. So, Liam, Dean said that it was basically a white nationalist organization. And, Dean, I think you said, like fascist? It also has sort of fascist.
The embrace and violence. Yes.
Liam?
Look, I think every Republican communicator in America hopes they embrace Dean's messaging for November. And look, I think we're several weeks away from Democrats running a strategy that was noun verb Donald Trump. I don't think noun verb Marjorie Taylor Greene or fascist or white nationalist is going to work any better. People can see and differentiate. Voters can differentiate between a Glenn Youngkin and a Donald Trump, or a Glenn Youngkin and a Marjorie Taylor Greene. And so I think as a campaign strategy, that's just not going to pass the eye test. I certainly wouldn't associate with a party that I thought to be, that kind of group. But look, there are people who are obviously out there saying things that I wouldn't associate myself with. And so I think that's what the fight that Nancy Mace is trying to get to. And I think, that's what leadership is trying to figure out right now, is how do you deal with that under the circumstances.
Dina, I'll let you respond to that, but then I want to have another question for you. Go on, please.
Sure. I mean, we just had 2 weeks ago, Paul Gosar, he put out his fantasy snuff video where he's murdering AOC, a woman of color. The man spoke at a white nationalist event. And how many Republicans in the House voted to condemn him? Two. Let's be blunt. The GOP for years said, as Muslims, and I'm a Muslim, if we don't speak up about the extremists in our group, then we are defined by them. I say the same to the GOP. Where's your rallies against the extremists in your party? Nowhere, because you agree with them. And I can't, they ran against Speaker Pelosi for years, the Republicans. We're going to run against Marjorie Taylor Greene, Paul Gosar, Madison Cawthorn, Lauren Boebert, because you know what? They are the face of this GOP. It's not Kevin McCarthy. It's them. That's where the energy, that's where the passion is. Let's be blunt. So good luck. There might be some exceptions, Republicans, don't get me wrong. There are some good, I'm not saying all Republicans are racist, but all racists are Republicans.
You caught me off guard with that one. Even Liam had to laugh. Listen, I don't have time for the next question, but can we just play this video? I just want to show our viewers what it is, and then we'll go to break here. This is CNN K-File. We found another video of Representative Boebert suggesting Representative Ilhan Omar was a terrorist. We showed you the one last night. There's another one. We'll go to break. Well, thank you.
One of my staffers on his first day with me got into an elevator in the Capitol. And in that elevator, we were joined by Ilhan Omar. Well, it was just us three in there, and I looked over and I said, well, look at there, it's the Jihad Squad.